ChatGerry, Post-Stroke Exhaustion and SBP Spike Control, number 1531, VPT 085, the 10th of February 2026, Gerald C.Hsu, EclaireMD Foundation, category stroke. Preface, after my hemorrhagic stroke on June 21, 2025, many people expected one simple pattern: low energy, slow thinking, and weak productivity. But stroke recovery is not always simple. About 7 months after my stroke, I observed something unusual. My cognitive productivity was extremely high. During roughly 210 days after hospital discharge, I completed 228 research papers. My executive function, long-term memory, and pattern recognition were not only preserved, they felt sharpened. At the same time, my body felt exhausted. I slept about 7 hours each night, but still needed 1 to 2 hours of daytime naps. Sometimes the fatigue came gradually. Sometimes it hit suddenly, like a switch turning off. I reduced my walking from 14,000 steps per day to about 7,000 steps per day. This raised an important question. Was this physical exhaustion a failure? Or was it protection? Productivity does not equal energy reserve. Many people assume that if you can work hard, your body must be strong. That is not always true. High cognitive output does not mean high physiological reserve. It may simply reflect decades of training. I have spent more than 6 decades training my brain in mathematics, computer science, physics, engineering, business, and medicine. Efficient thinking can hide internal fatigue. But after a stroke, the brain is repairing itself. Neurons are rebuilding, and neural pathways are rerouting, blood flow is redistributing, and autonomic control is recalibrating. All of these processes consume energy. The cost is often delayed. The brain allows me to perform, then collects payment later through physical exhaustion. That exhaustion may appear as heaviness, forced sleep, or sudden shutdown. In my case, high productivity did not mean I was safe. It only meant my brain was efficient. Sleep is not the whole story. Another misunderstanding is that fatigue should disappear if you sleep longer. Post-stroke exhaustion does not follow a simple rule like more sleep equals more energy. Sleep after stroke is not just rest. It is active repair. During sleep, the brain clears metabolic waste, stabilizes neurotransmitters, and restores blood flow balance. For hemorrhagic stroke and seizure-related neurological injury, this recalibration can last 9 to 15 months. Naps are not laziness. They are part of brain healing. If I forced myself to stay awake, I often felt worse the next day. 2 types of exhaustion. From careful observation, I noticed 2 different patterns. First, gradual fuel depletion. This is normal fatigue. After sustained work or walking, energy slowly drops. Sleep restores it. This type is predictable. Second, sudden protective shutdown. This one is different. The exhaustion arrives abruptly. It feels heavy and unavoidable. It often follows subtle stress, emotional disturbance, dehydration, or unstable blood pressure. This second type is not negotiable. If I push through it, I risk destabilizing my system. Between months 5 and 10 after stroke, both systems can coexist. That is recalibration, not regression. Why SBP spikes matter more than average SBP? Before my stroke, I was never a chronic hypertension patient. My average systolic blood pressure SBP was usually low, around 110 to 115 mmHg. But on June 21, 2025, my SBP suddenly spiked to 175 mmHg. That spike ruptured a fragile microvessel near the pons. A bridge does not collapse from its dead right and steady traffic. It collapses from sudden shock load, such as an earthworm severe storm. That is why I focus on SBP spike amplitude, not only average SBP. I define daily SBP spike as highest daily SBP minus daily average SBP. After my stroke, I measured blood pressure about 24 times per day. On both arms and both wrist and upper arm devices, I collected nearly 30,000 data points within 7 months after my recent stroke. My post-stroke SBP spikes ranged roughly from 5 mmHg to 30 mmHg, with an average around 14 mmHg. My personal guardrails are simple. Spike 12 mmHg safe, 12 to 18 mmHg acceptable, 18 to 25 mmHg caution, greater than 25 mmHg quick rest and calm, most days. My SBP spike stayed near or below 15 mmHg. That reassured me. Exhaustion as a protective brake. Here is the key insight. Post-stroke exhaustion may function as a brake. SBP spikes are cliffs. When the brain senses rising instability, it forces rest. Rest reduces sympathetic tone, blood pressure stabilizes, spike amplitude drops. In this view, sudden fatigue is not weakness, it is protective intervention. During focused research, my SBP often stayed below 115 mmHg. Research calmed me. It reduced agitation. It acted like autonomic training. Some friends warned me that heavy intellectual work could trigger another stroke. I appreciated their concern. But in my case, deep concentration lowered my blood pressure rather than raising it. The real danger for me is emotional My BP shock, confrontation, or sudden emotional stress, not me medical research work. Long-term damage perspective, from 1990 to 2009, during 20 years of uncontrolled lifestyle and medication-only diabetes treatment, about 91% of my brain microvessel calcification developed. From 2010 to 2025, under a strict lifestyle control, only 9% additional risk on stroke damage accumulated. The stroke was not caused by steady baseline blood pressure. It was caused by a sudden SBP spike acting as a trigger on already stiffened brain vessels. That is why SBP spike control is central. Practical guardrails. From my experience, I suggest several simple principles for stroke survivors. Focus on SBP spike behavior, not just watching averages. Accept naps as therapy, not failure. Hydrate well. Avoid emotional confrontation. Protect evening hours when SBP spikes are more likely. Monitor trends over weeks and months, not daily noise. Exhaustion may be your nervous system protecting you. Listen to it. Conclusion. At about 8 months after my hemorrhagic stroke, I observed high cognitive productivity together with persistent physical exhaustion and stable low-average SBP. These findings are not contradictory. Cognitive productivity reflects efficiency. Physical exhaustion reflects repair. SBP spike reflects risk. When understood correctly, fatigue becomes part of recovery, not a sign of failure. Disclaimer: I write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease progression, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights belong to the author, Gerald C.Hsu. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.Hsu.